Hello, family. Enjoy this relaxing moment with Surly Tales. Remember to hit the like button, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. It means the world to us. Also, share this video with your friends and loved ones, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss future videos from us. Thank you as you do so. Sit back and relax as we dive into the story. The sun rose gently over the coastal town of Ujumba, casting its golden light across the bustling streets. Vendors were already setting up their stalls, arranging fruits, fabrics, and trinkets with care. The town, nestled between lush green hills and the endless expanse of the Atlantic Ocean, was alive with the hum of life. Waves lapped at the shore, mingling with the distant sound of drumming from the local cultural center. For 23-year-old Amara, this was home, a place vibrant with history, challenges, and beauty. Amara leaned against the balcony of her modest family home, sipping her morning tea. Her father's voice echoed from the sitting room as he discussed a lesson plan with her younger brother. A respected schoolteacher, Mr. Nwankwo was known for his strict but fair demeanor. Their mother, a talented tailor, was already busy with fabric orders for a wedding in the community. The house smelled of breakfast, akra balls, and freshly baked bread, wafting from the kitchen. Amara sighed, her mind far away from the warmth of home. She had dreams that extended beyond the town of Ujumba. She longed for a life where she could make a difference, where she could blend her love for writing and community work. Yet, her reality often felt like a tether, keeping her grounded in a place that didn't quite align with her aspirations. Her reverie was interrupted by her best friend, Chika, who arrived in a flurry of energy, as she always did. "Amara, you're daydreaming again," Chika teased, plopping down onto the balcony chair. "What's on your mind this time? Saving the world? Or is it the new guy in town?" Amara laughed, shaking her head. "You're impossible, Chika. I was just thinking about life, about how much more there is to see beyond this town." Chika rolled her eyes. "You and your big dreams. Ujumba is plenty big for people like us. You think you're going to change the world?" "Maybe," Amara replied with a soft smile. "Or at least my corner of it." A new suitor. The town of Ujumba had its way of spreading news like wildfire, and it wasn't long before everyone knew that Desmond Okafor had returned from the city. A young man of immense wealth and charm, Desmond was the son of one of the most influential businessmen in the region. His family's empire spanned construction, hospitality, and real estate. Amara first met Desmond at a charity event organized by her father's school. He was impeccably dressed in a tailored suit, his presence commanding attention. When he approached Amara with a confident smile, her mother's face lit up with approval. "You're Amara Nwankwo," he said smoothly. "The teacher's daughter. I've heard a lot about you. And you must be Desmond Okafor," she replied, her tone polite but guarded. He laughed. "I see my reputation precedes me. I'd like to get to know you better, Amara. Perhaps over dinner?" Amara hesitated. She felt the weight of her mother's expectant gaze from across the room. Reluctantly, she agreed. The struggling artist. While Desmond represented opulence and power, Obinna was his polar opposite. A 28-year-old artist, Obinna had returned to Ujumba after years of studying fine art in Lagos. His modest studio, tucked away in a quieter part of town, was a haven for creativity. The walls were adorned with vibrant paintings depicting African traditions, struggles, and hope. Amara met Obinna by chance while delivering a package to her aunt. Intrigued by the sound of soft jazz drifting from his studio, she wandered in. He was seated on a stool, paintbrush in hand, his brows furrowed in concentration. "Can I help you?" he asked, his deep voice breaking her trance. Sorry. I didn't mean to disturb." "Your work is beautiful," she said, gesturing to a painting of a woman carrying a calabash, her face radiant with strength. Obinna smiled. "Thank you. I try to tell our stories, the ones that matter." Amara stayed longer than she intended, captivated by Obinna's passion and humility. They spoke about art, culture, and the challenges of staying true to oneself in a world that often demanded compromise. By the time she left, her heart was lighter, her mind filled with new questions. Family expectations. Amara's parents were thrilled about Desmond's interest in their daughter. Her mother, in particular, was vocal about the match. "Amara, do you know what this means for our family? Desmond is a fine young man with everything you could ever need," she gushed. "But Mama," Amara protested, "I barely know him. And wealth isn't everything." "Don't be naive," her mother snapped. "Love doesn't put food on the table or send children to school. You need a man who can provide for you." Her father, more measured, added, "Amara, we only want what's best for you. Desmond can give you a good life." Amara felt torn. She respected her parents and understood their concerns, but her heart was drawn elsewhere. She couldn't shake the image of Obinna, his hands smeared with paint, his eyes lit with conviction. The pull of the heart. Over the next few weeks, Amara found herself caught between two worlds. Desmond pursued her with relentless charm, sending flowers and invitations to lavish outings. He introduced her to his circle of friends, wealthy and influential individuals who lived lives of luxury. Yet, despite the glamour, Amara felt out of place. Meanwhile, her encounters with Obinna became more frequent. She found solace in his company, inspired by his dedication to his craft and his belief in the power of art to effect change. He showed her a side of Ujumba she had never fully appreciated: the resilience of its people, the beauty of its traditions, and the potential for growth. One evening, as they watched the sunset over the ocean, Obinna turned to her and said, "Amara, you have a choice. You can follow the path laid out for you, or you can carve your own. Whatever you choose, make sure it's what your heart truly wants." His words lingered in her mind long after he left. For the first time, Amara began to question not just what she wanted, but who she wanted to be. The morning sun rose over Ujumba, casting a warm glow across the town. Amara woke to the familiar sounds of the bustling streets, the clatter of wheelbarrows, the banter of vendors, and the distant honking of tricycles. Yet her mind was far from the daily rhythm of her hometown. Her thoughts were torn between two men who represented vastly different worlds. Obinna's world. The invitation to Obinna's studio came unexpectedly. One afternoon, as Amara passed the market square, she noticed a flyer pinned to the community notice board. The flyer announced an art exhibition titled "Stories of the Forgotten," featuring Obinna's work. She smiled, thinking of his passion for capturing the resilience and beauty of Ujumba's people. The exhibition was scheduled for the coming weekend, and Amara decided to attend. The studio was modest but bursting with life. On the day of the exhibition, the walls were adorned with vibrant paintings, each piece telling a unique story. There were women carrying water, their faces etched with determination, children laughing as they played in the rain, and fishermen casting their nets under the glow of the moon. The room buzzed with visitors, locals, tourists, and a few reporters jotting down notes. Amara arrived in a simple encre dress, her natural curls framing her face. She felt a tinge of nervousness as she walked through the doors. Obinna spotted her from across the room, his face lighting up with a smile. "You made it," he said, his voice warm. "Of course," Amara replied. "I wouldn't miss it." Obinna guided her through the exhibit, explaining the inspiration behind each painting. He spoke with a fervor that captivated her, his hands gesturing animatedly as he described the struggles and triumphs of the people in his art. "This one," he said, pointing to a painting of an elderly woman sitting beneath a baobab tree, "is Mama Ngozi. She lost everything during the flood last year but refused to give up. She started a small business selling groundnuts and now supports her grandchildren." Amara was moved. "Your work is powerful, Obinna. You're not just painting pictures, you're telling stories that matter." Obinna smiled. "That's the goal. If people can see the humanity in these faces, maybe they'll be inspired to make a change." As the evening wore on, Amara felt increasingly drawn to Obinna's world. It was raw and challenging, yet it resonated with her deeply. For the first time, she felt like she belonged somewhere, not as a spectator but as an active participant in something meaningful. Desmond's world. The following week, Desmond invited Amara to an exclusive gala at the prestigious Ujumba International Hotel. The event was a fundraiser for a local hospital, and the guest list included politicians, business moguls, and celebrities. Amara arrived in a stunning gown, courtesy of Desmond's personal stylist. The dress hugged her figure perfectly, shimmering under the soft lighting of the grand ballroom. As she entered, Desmond met her with a broad smile, looking impeccable in a tailored tuxedo. "You look breathtaking," he said, taking her hand. "Shall we?" The evening was a whirlwind of introductions and compliments. Desmond moved through the room with ease, shaking hands and exchanging pleasantries. Amara, however, felt like an outsider. The conversations were dominated by talk of investments, mergers, and luxury vacations. She struggled to find common ground. At one point, a woman approached her, a socialite named Bianca, draped in jewels and exuding confidence. "So, you're Desmond's new girlfriend," Bianca said, her tone dripping with condescension. "What do you do?" Amara hesitated, feeling the weight of the question. "I'm a writer and a community organizer." Bianca raised an eyebrow. "Interesting." Desmond always did have a taste for the unconventional. Amara felt her cheeks flush. Desmond, sensing her discomfort, stepped in. "Amara is one of the most intelligent and compassionate people I know," he said smoothly. "She's far more than conventional." Bianca smiled politely and walked away, but the encounter left Amara feeling small. Later, as the evening drew to a close, Desmond walked her to her car. "You did great tonight," he said. "These events can be intimidating, but you handled yourself well." Amara nodded, forcing a smile. "Thank you for inviting me. It was eye-opening." As Desmond kissed her hand goodbye, Amara felt a pang of doubt. The glamour and affluence of Desmond's world were dazzling, but they felt hollow. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was playing a role, one that didn't fit her. A village visit. The opportunity to step away from her internal conflict came when Amara's family traveled to their ancestral village for her cousin's wedding. The journey was long, taking them through winding roads lined with palm trees and farmlands. The village, surrounded by hills, was a stark contrast to the bustling town of Ujumba. Life here was simple, and the air was filled with the scent of fresh earth and blooming flowers. The wedding was a vibrant affair. Women in brightly colored wrappers danced to the rhythm of traditional drums, while men shared stories under the shade of a mango tree. Amara's grandmother, Mama Ujumba, was the matriarch of the family. Despite her frail frame, her spirit was unyielding. One evening, as the festivities wound down, Mama Ujumba called Amara to sit with her by the fire. The old woman's eyes were sharp, her voice steady. "You're troubled, my child," she said, holding Amara's hand. "Tell me what weighs on your heart." Amara hesitated but eventually poured out her feelings, her confusion, her doubts, and the pressure from her family. Mama Ujumba listened intently, her gaze never wavering. When Amara finished, she spoke. "In my youth, I faced a similar choice," she began. "There was a wealthy suitor who promised me a life of comfort, but my heart belonged to a farmer, a man with little to his name but a soul as rich as the earth. I chose love, and though life was not always easy, I never regretted it." Amara's eyes filled with tears. "But what if I disappoint everyone, Grandma? What if I make the wrong choice?" Mama Ujumba smiled. "The only wrong choice is one made out of fear. Follow your heart, Amara. It knows the path to your happiness." A growing divide. Returning to Ujumba, Amara felt more conflicted than ever. Her experiences with Obinna and Desmond had opened her eyes to the stark differences between their worlds. Desmond offered security and status, but his life felt distant from her own values. Obinna, on the other hand, shared her passion for community and authenticity, but his path was fraught with uncertainty. Her family's expectations loomed large, adding to her burden. Her mother frequently reminded her of the benefits of marrying Desmond, while her father urged her to consider the practicality of her choice. Only her younger brother, Toby, seemed to understand her dilemma. "Amara, you don't have to please everyone," he told her one evening. "Just do what feels right for you." As she lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, Amara knew a decision was inevitable. But which world would she choose? The days that followed were heavy with tension for Amara. She moved through the bustling streets of Ujumba as though weighed down by an invisible burden. The laughter of the market women, the chatter of schoolchildren, and the roar of motorcycle taxis faded into the background of her thoughts. Each step felt like a countdown to a choice that could redefine her life. The proposal. It was a Sunday afternoon when Desmond made his move. Amara had reluctantly agreed to join him for lunch at an upscale restaurant overlooking the ocean. She wore a floral maxi dress, her curls pinned back to reveal her delicate features. Desmond, as always, was impeccably dressed in a crisp white shirt and tailored slacks. He looked every bit the successful man his reputation suggested. The meal was extravagant, a feast of grilled fish, plantains, and exotic salads. Desmond was charming as ever, regaling Amara with stories of his travels and business ventures. But beneath his polished exterior, there was a nervous energy she couldn't quite place. As the waiter cleared their plates, Desmond reached across the table and took Amara's hand. His eyes softened, and his usual confidence gave way to vulnerability. "Amara," he began, "you've brought something into my life that I didn't even know I was missing. Your kindness, your intelligence, your passion, they've shown me what truly matters." Amara's breath caught in her throat as he pulled a small velvet box from his pocket and opened it to reveal a dazzling diamond ring. "Will you marry me?" Desmond asked, his voice steady but filled with emotion. The restaurant fell silent as nearby diners turned to watch. Amara felt her heart race. She glanced at the ring, then at Desmond's hopeful face, and finally at the strangers around them who seemed to hold their collective breath. I need time to think," she stammered, pulling her hand away. Desmond's smile faltered, but he nodded. "Take all the time you need, Amara. I want you to be sure." The weight of his words settled on her as she left the restaurant. The diamond ring sparkled in her mind, a symbol of the life Desmond could offer her, a life of security and ease. Yet her heart felt heavy with doubt. Conversation with Obinna. That evening, Amara found herself at Obinna's studio. The small space was alive with color, the smell of paint and wood varnish filling the air. Obinna was working on a new piece, a young girl selling oranges under the harsh sun. His strokes were deliberate, his expression focused. Amara hesitated in the doorway before clearing her throat. "I hope I'm not interrupting." Obinna turned, his face lighting up at the sight of her. "Amara, you're always welcome here." She stepped inside, her nerves evident in the way she fidgeted with the strap of her purse. "I needed to talk to someone who understands me." Obinna set his brush down and wiped his hands on a rag. "What's on your mind?" Amara told him about Desmond's proposal, her voice wavering as she recounted the moment. Obinna listened intently, his expression unreadable. When she finished, he took a deep breath. "Do you love him?" he asked, his voice low. "I don't know," Amara admitted. "He's everything my family wants for me, but I don't feel connected to his world." Obinna stepped closer, his gaze steady. "And what about us? Do you feel connected to me?" Amara met his eyes, her heart pounding. "Yes. But your life, it's not easy. It's uncertain." Obinna nodded. "It is. But love isn't about certainty, Amara. It's about choosing someone, every day, even when it's hard." His words struck a chord deep within her. For a moment, the noise in her mind quieted, and she felt the clarity she had been searching for. The elder's wisdom. The following day, Amara sought out her grandmother, Mama Ujumba. The old woman was sitting on the veranda of their family home, shelling groundnuts with practiced ease. She looked up as Amara approached, her sharp eyes immediately sensing the turmoil in her granddaughter's heart. "Come, sit with me," Mama Ujumba said, patting the stool beside her. Amara sat down and poured out her dilemma, the pressure from her family, Desmond's proposal, and her growing feelings for Obinna. The words tumbled out in a rush, as though unburdening herself would make the choice easier. Mama Ujumba listened without interrupting, her hands never pausing in their task. When Amara finally fell silent, the elder woman placed a hand on hers. "Life is full of choices, my child," she said. "But the most important ones are those made with the heart. Wealth and comfort may ease life's burdens, but they cannot fill an empty soul." Amara blinked back tears. "But what if I disappoint everyone, Grandma?" Mama Ujumba smiled, her face crinkling with age and wisdom. "The people who truly love you will understand, even if it takes time. Do not sacrifice your happiness for the sake of others' expectations." The community conflict. While Amara wrestled with her decision, Obinna found himself at the center of controversy. His art exhibit, Stories of the Forgotten, had gained significant attention, but not all of it was positive. A prominent politician had taken offense to one of Obinna's paintings, which depicted a corrupt official hoarding sacks of grain while villagers starved. The piece, titled The Greedy Hand, sparked heated debates on social media and in local newspapers. Obinna received threats and warnings to remove the painting from his exhibit. Despite the pressure, he refused to back down. "This is the truth," he told Amara one evening as they walked along the beach. "If we don't speak out, who will?" Amara admired his courage, but she also worried for his safety. She realized that being with Obinna meant embracing a life of challenges and risks, a life far removed from the comfort Desmond offered. The breaking point. The tension reached its peak when Amara's parents confronted her about Desmond's proposal. Her mother, visibly upset, paced the living room while her father sat silently, his face lined with concern. "Amara, this is an opportunity most girls can only dream of," her mother said. "Desmond is a good man. He can give you everything you need." Amara took a deep breath. "I know he's a good man, Mama. But I don't love him." Her mother's face fell, but her father spoke up. "Love is important, Amara, but so is stability. Are you sure you're making the right choice?" Amara's voice trembled, but she held her ground. "I need to follow my heart. I hope you can understand." The room fell silent. Her parents exchanged a long look before her father nodded. "It's your life, Amara. We'll support you, even if it's difficult." Her mother wiped away tears but didn't argue further. As Amara lay in bed that night, she felt a sense of peace for the first time in weeks. She didn't know what the future held, but she was certain of one thing: she would choose love even if it meant walking a harder path. The days that followed Amara's decision were turbulent. News of her rejection of Desmond's proposal spread quickly through Ujumba. Gossiping tongues wagged in the markets, and whispers followed her wherever she went. Some praised her for her courage, others labeled her foolish for turning down a life of luxury. Despite the noise around her, Amara stood firm in her choice, though the path ahead seemed uncertain. Desmond's reaction. Desmond was not a man accustomed to rejection. When Amara told him of her decision, his initial reaction was disbelief. "You're choosing him over me?" he asked, his voice calm but icy. "Amara, do you even understand what you're giving up?" "It's not about him or you, Desmond," Amara replied, her voice steady. "It's about me and what I want for my life." Desmond's face darkened. "You're making a mistake. You'll regret this." Amara didn't flinch. "Maybe I will, but I'd rather regret my own choices than live someone else's life." Desmond left without another word, but his exit marked the beginning of a storm that would shake both Amara's and Obinna's worlds. Community divided. Desmond's influential family was not pleased. His father, Chief Okafor, a man known for his ruthless business acumen, took the rejection personally. Within days, whispers of Obinna's involvement with Amara reached Chief Okafor's ears. Using his connections, he launched a subtle but effective campaign to discredit Obinna. The fallout began with Obinna's landlord suddenly increasing his rent, citing community development fees. Then, local vendors who once supplied Obinna with art materials on credit refused to do business with him. Even the small art gallery that had agreed to display Obinna's work canceled their arrangement, citing pressure from unnamed sources. Obinna faced these challenges with quiet resilience, but Amara could see the toll it was taking on him. She tried to support him, using her connections to help him find new suppliers and venues. Her efforts, however, drew more criticism. "She's throwing her future away for a man with nothing," one neighbor said. "What does she see in him?" Desmond's scandal. While Amara and Obinna navigated their struggles, an unexpected scandal rocked Ujumba. Rumors of financial impropriety within Desmond's company began to surface. Local journalists uncovered evidence of embezzlement and fraudulent contracts tied to one of his father's major construction projects. The scandal quickly became the talk of the town, tarnishing the once untouchable Okafor name. Amara, though no longer connected to Desmond, couldn't escape the fallout. Her family faced subtle ostracism from certain quarters of the community, as though her rejection of Desmond had somehow invited the scandal. Her parents bore the brunt of it, especially her mother, who was shunned by some of her customers. Despite this, Amara remained steadfast. She visited her grandmother frequently, finding solace in the elder woman's wisdom. "You are being tested, my child," Mama Ujumba told her one evening. "But remember, storms pass. What matters is how you stand through them." Obinna's triumph. Amid the chaos, Obinna received an unexpected lifeline. One of the journalists covering Desmond's scandal stumbled upon Obinna's work while visiting Ujumba. Intrigued by the depth and social commentary in his art, the journalist wrote a feature on Obinna, highlighting his efforts to capture the spirit and struggles of the community. The article gained traction, drawing the attention of an international art gallery based in Lagos. They extended an invitation for Obinna to showcase his work at an upcoming exhibition. For the first time in months, hope returned to Obinna's eyes. "This is it, Amara," he said, his voice brimming with excitement. "This could change everything." Amara beamed with pride. "You've worked so hard for this, Obinna. You deserve it." The family rift. While Obinna's fortunes began to change, Amara's relationship with her family grew more strained. Her mother, still upset over the loss of Desmond's proposal, struggled to accept Amara's choice. "You could have had everything," her mother said one evening, her voice heavy with disappointment. "Instead, you chose a life of struggle." Amara reached for her mother's hand. "Mama, I chose a life of meaning. I know it's hard for you to see now, but I need you to trust me." Her father, though quieter, showed his support in subtle ways. He would ask about Obinna's progress and occasionally offer advice, though he rarely voiced his approval openly. A defining moment. The day of Obinna's Lagos exhibition arrived. The gallery was packed with art enthusiasts, critics, and collectors from across the country. Obinna's work stood out, each piece telling a story that resonated deeply with the audience. By the end of the evening, several of his paintings had been sold, and he received offers for future collaborations. Amara watched from the sidelines, her heart swelling with pride. She saw in Obinna not just an artist but a man of integrity and vision. His success felt like a vindication of her choice, a reminder that love and passion could triumph over material wealth. When the event ended, Obinna pulled Amara aside. "None of this would have been possible without you," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You believed in me when no one else did." Amara smiled. "You didn't need me to believe in you, Obinna. You just needed someone to remind you of what you're capable of." The ripple effect. Back in Ujumba, Obinna's success began to shift public opinion. People who had once dismissed him as a struggling artist now spoke of his talent with admiration. The same neighbors who had criticized Amara for her choice began to see her in a new light. Even her mother, though reluctant at first, softened. One evening, she approached Amara while they prepared dinner. "I may not understand your choice," she said quietly, "but I see how happy you are. That's all a mother can hope for." Tears filled Amara's eyes as she embraced her mother. "Thank you, Mama." As the dust settled, Amara felt a sense of peace she hadn't known before. She and Obinna had weathered the storm together, emerging stronger and more united. The path they had chosen was not easy, but it was theirs, a testament to the power of love and authenticity. The morning sun rose over Ujumba, casting a warm, golden light across the town. It was a symbolic sunrise, one that marked the beginning of a new chapter not only for Amara and Obinna but also for the community that had watched their journey unfold. The tides were shifting, and with them came a renewed sense of hope and purpose. Building a future. With his newfound recognition, Obinna returned to Ujumba with renewed vigor. The proceeds from his Lagos exhibition allowed him to expand his studio and fund a project that had long been a dream, a community art center. The center would provide a space for young people to learn, create, and express themselves through art. It was his way of giving back to the town that had shaped him. Amara, inspired by Obinna's vision, joined him in the endeavor. She used her skills as a writer and organizer to secure additional funding and promote the project. Together, they worked tirelessly, navigating the challenges of bureaucracy and community skepticism. The art center, named Ujumba Expressions, became a beacon of hope. Children who had once wandered the streets aimlessly now had a place to channel their creativity. Women who sold crafts in the market learned new techniques to enhance their products, and young men discovered a passion for storytelling through film and photography. Amara found herself thriving in this new role. She was no longer just a dreamer, she was a doer, making a tangible impact on the lives of others. Her heart swelled with pride every time she saw the smiles on the faces of those who came through the center's doors. A wedding to remember. The decision to marry Obinna was not one Amara took lightly, but when he proposed one quiet evening under the stars, there was no hesitation in her heart. His proposal was simple yet heartfelt, a contrast to Desmond's grand but impersonal gesture. Obinna knelt in the sandy courtyard of her family home, holding a ring fashioned from local beads, a symbol of their shared roots and values. "Amara," he said, his voice steady, "you are my muse, my partner, my heart. Will you walk this life with me?" "Yes," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. 1,000 times, yes. Their wedding was a celebration of love, unity, and community. It was held in the heart of Ujumba, under a sprawling baobab tree that had stood for generations. The ceremony blended tradition and modernity, with elders blessing their union and young musicians playing a mix of traditional rhythms and contemporary melodies. Amara wore a stunning dress made by her mother, who had poured her heart into every stitch. Obinna's suit, crafted by a local tailor, was adorned with intricate embroidery that told the story of their journey. The entire town turned out to celebrate. Children danced, elders shared blessings, and friends and family toasted to a future built on love and shared dreams. Even those who had once doubted their union couldn't help but be moved by the joy and authenticity of the occasion. Healing old wounds. Amara's relationship with her family, particularly her mother, had been strained by her decision to choose Obinna over Desmond. But over time, her family came to see the wisdom in her choice. Her father, ever the thoughtful observer, was the first to express his support. "You've shown us what it means to follow your heart," he told her during the wedding celebration. "And we're proud of you." Her mother, though slower to come around, eventually saw the happiness in Amara's eyes and the strength of her bond with Obinna. On the night of the wedding, she pulled Amara aside and handed her a small, wrapped package. "This was my mother's," she said softly. "She gave it to me on my wedding day, and now I'm giving it to you." Amara unwrapped the package to find a delicate coral necklace, a symbol of love and protection in their culture. She hugged her mother tightly, tears streaming down both their faces. Inspiring a community. Amara and Obinna's love story became a source of inspiration for the people of Ujumba. It wasn't just the romance that moved them, but the courage it took to stand against societal expectations and carve their own path. Women in the town began to speak more openly about their dreams, challenging traditional norms that often stifled their aspirations. Men, too, began to rethink what it meant to be a partner and a provider, inspired by Obinna's unwavering support for Amara's independence. The success of Ujumba expressions rippled through the community, sparking a cultural renaissance. Local artists began to gain recognition beyond the town, bringing pride and economic opportunities to Ujumba. The once divided town found unity in its shared progress, a testament to what could be achieved when people came together. Legacy. Years later, as Amara and Obinna stood on the porch of their modest home, watching their children play in the yard, they reflected on how far they had come. Life hadn't been without its challenges, but they had faced each one together, drawing strength from their love and shared purpose. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if you'd chosen differently?" Obinna asked, a playful smile tugging at his lips. Amara shook her head, her eyes shining with certainty. "Not for a second. Everything we've built, everything we've become, it was worth every struggle." Their story became a legend in Ujumba, passed down through generations as a reminder that love, when chosen with courage and conviction, could be the foundation of something extraordinary. The end. If you enjoyed this story, we invite you to give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Your support motivates us to keep bringing heartwarming stories almost every day. We are very grateful for your support. See you soon.